dun, 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 dun. The bus behind the sun diary. Hi, Monkyvers, and welcome to the bus behind the sun diary, where I share some thoughts about music, my life as a musician, independent one, because I'm not going to give anything of the money to other industries, personal things. But today I want to do an episode of how to be in touch with your feminine energy while also being bossy, and as well what was the things that I had spiritually being on as a person who likes the same things. I mean, like women. But anyway, let's start this episode by telling you that happy Pride Month to everybody. I feel like I didn't say that before, or even I said that in my YouTube. But if you are hearing this, happy Pride to you. I'm so glad that you are here. And yeah, let's start with this video. Also, I'm not drunk or high, it's just that I'm relaxed. I feel like we often just know people that are estronic in the worst emotion, like in the bad emotions, being like anger or whatever. But like all this emotion that we call sometimes bad also teach us. But I'm estronic. feel peace, and it looks like I'm drunk, but I promise I'm not. Okay, so yeah. So, how to be bossy but also feminine. You don't need to be in con of the word men. You don't need to be in con of the word being manless, being feminine, being masculine, or even though just to be who you are as a woman. Because everything that we grew up believing have historically background that we us as a society adapt, this is feminine, this is more masculine, this is that, and this is whatever. Even though that I study psychology and I know a little bit more of energies, I know a little bit of signs, kind of which ones are the more masculine, which ones are the more feminine, and which ones are not. But like I always see that whenever somebody's speaking about that, how to be feminine, how to be masculine, are just focused on the topics of exterior speaking, just having boobs it makes you feminine, having, and that is all to affirm that you are feminine and masculine, basically, that we as a human beings created. As an example, the color pink was meant for men back in time, and the color blue was meant for women. What it changed in many years ago was that it symbolizes different type of things, and one of the princes adopted the color pink to themselves, and that we know now because of fashion, and it gets a little bit popular because of that. We now are using pink as a feminine color, which back in time it represents the blood of all of the countries that men used to conquer. So it's always about that. It's what you make, or what you think, what you do, what you believe that makes you feel more feminine or makes you feel more masculine. But the core energy in those type of things is just that whenever you're being bossy, whenever you are being a little bit more masculine as you might consider, you always need to have a little treatment to accomplish also that. Like, take care of your feminine energy when you want to do a masculine task. As an example, for me, when I used to work in this coffee shop and I used to carry a lot of weight that I don't consider was healthy sometimes. It was a lot. But I carry some of my juices, some of my meals, some of my favorite fruits, some the stuff that I love to eat, basically, to get through and give a little treat once, you know. So that was for me the task that I wanted to do. Especially when I do content, when I record songs, I give myself a treat and permission to slow down a little bit more when I'm feeling that I'm doing too much. And all of this could be reflected on headaches that you might feel because you want to accomplish everything because you are a girl and like you need a little bit more of care. As a woman, we need a little bit of care, not just in work, but in other areas as well. So that's a little thing. Then a little lesson that I learned from a little coaching that I take, a little lesson that I learned from a girl as well. So it's just that. As I will say, an example of being like, I'm working on my things. For example, my content, I'm recording, editing, and in my desktop, I don't have nothing. That's how someone barely, or I feel like usually is more masculine, but like for me, how I want to give myself a little treat maybe would be I'm lighting the room a little bit more. I'm putting some cologne, to set up or like some candles or like some essence to make the flavor of the room be more intense and to my nose, all of that. So I can give a little touch to that. Not because I'm a woman, but because I want to take care of myself. Not because it's a cringy thing to do, which sometimes you can hear from other people, you're a woman, you're supposed to. No, it's simply because you want to bring yourself a little more of peace. And I promise that will work for you. That's what even though I purchased my bottle because every time for me it was a little treat to see my bottle when I will be lifting weight. I will be editing, I will be studying, I will be doing anything. And that's the way that you can do and apply for your life as well. Maybe not having snacks, but doing your makeup well. So every time you look in the mirror while doing some task, you might look yourself a little more cute. Or maybe if you want to work before you work, you can take a little cute picture and be like, yeah, I'm working, and that's it. Which I did sometimes when I want to boost my mood a little bit, but that was how I did. So I will then I will talk about my how I grew up basically, and with that on, I hope that you can understand what I'm trying to tell you or what I did tell you. Some people don't get it. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I tried and I did the best to be simple. Okay, so when it comes to how I grew up and how I was raised, you will be like surprised. Like everything that I will tell you will be surprised. I live and I came from a little small town and I don't have a lot of malls, let's say. I do have maybe one, maybe two malls at the place that I live, but it's really tiny, my city. So it's a lot of Christian people here, but we also have a lot of people in the community here. The only difference I would say that is that we're a little bit more conservative. How I, even though I was taught to grow up, that you don't need to show a little skin, you don't need to show that, you don't need to even though wear lashes, makeup, and all of these kind of things. It's a typical family that you might see being there and also be calm. And I do love flowers. You might as well tell that's how my city identifies us as a city of flowers. And that's what I also came with a little reference to flowers because I consider that to my core that that was the main reference for my city as well. So I did my work and I put a lot of effort into be the best woman I could ever imagine being into cooking, even though that I wasn't into cooking, being into knitting, being into crocheting, traditional things that you might consider as a traditional woman does. But sometimes when you saw social media, even though you can feel there is two different types of girls that you might also look for sometimes, and it's usually girls that are more bossy, work in corporate jobs, are coming from a small town like you and they accomplish a big job, or they have simply many things going on and they want to be like that. So for me, when I started to study about these things and just coming, with this knowledge that I have about knitting and about crocheting, about um basically just tiny things that you might consider like a grandma does, like a old grandma. I feel a little bit off sometimes, but I do share the same passion as them, the same curiosity for nurturing myself, learning about these things, even though marketing, even though psychology, like things that I really did care, but not let that to be only my presentation of like, I studied this, I studied that, I did this, I did that, I did this accomplishment, because that's not how I work as a person. I learned to be humble many times, but the big lesson that I need to tell you is that when you are humble, it's not because you dismiss um the accomplishment that you have, but you are open to hear about other people's experiences, so you can be humble for having the new knowledge or having the new understanding about other things. Even though you are the number one on cleaning, let's say for me, I love cleaning. I've been doing this for many times, many years now. So when my boss of cleaning was like, you should clean like this, I was like, I learned actually how to mop fast, but I didn't open myself to do that because there is many tricks even doing a simple task such as cleaning. And so that's how the word humble is. It's not just dismissing the accomplishment, the things that you had might done before. And so I don't know, I've been a little bit scared and I get a little bit confident and a little bit shy, then I get a little bit this and I get a little bit that, and I get more open to hear about other people's perspectives, even though that mostly I've been not okay or I've been not agreeing with all of that. And I've been healing through hearing other people talk, even though, because for me, the type of things that make me wake up, made me be up, made me be okay, made me be okay. I might want to do that, or I want to do that, or I did this, or I'm doing that, is basically just being being hard, basically. But for other girls, it will be not that, and it's not the same hard that I was before. It's not the same. It's just you need to do this because you need to do this. That there is no thing such as I don't want to. I'm juggling. I don't want. Like I need to do this, and I choose to do this. So I'm going to trick myself as much as I can to do this, and that's how it happened basically. And yeah, don't feel bad because you know more about traditional things such as crocheting, being a good woman, doing simple things such as serving others, maybe cooking, maybe just being in those type of things, be more traditional and more involved for someone, because I do consider that that will be my way of work as a long term. Maybe not always cooking, maybe sometimes purchasing food, maybe sometimes cooking, depending how I feel. But I do consider that many things changed on my mind as well, as long as I grew up and I learned many things. The first thing that I consider is not weak, being feminine, because I've been smoothing a lot of male energies in my life, and that I consider the most powerful thing that I could ever done. Not because I want something in return, but it generally showed me that being feminine as I am sometimes, being cheering other people, it could smooth the most hardest heart in my life that I ever met. And that happened with me mostly with guys. Mostly. I met tough guys that were really tough with me sometimes in terms of emotions, were really cold. But I was more soft, so they were soft with me as well. Gradually takes, I don't know how many times or how many weeks, how many months, but it happened like that. So don't feel bad for feel and be feminine, because you are not going to feel less smart for being a little bit more feminine. You are not going to be less knowledgeable because you are feminine. You are not going to be less stronger because you are feminine. Sometimes we carry that in our softness, and we need to allow the male energy to just be smooth as well with ourselves, because we manage sometimes a lot of mood swings, we manage sometimes a lot of emotion with ourselves, with our energy. It doesn't matter if you are a woman biologically or not, but sometimes we need to do that job of being open towards another male energy that is seeking some comfort, not a lot of like this, maybe be agreeing with that. They don't want a solution, they just want comfort. And so our mission is to be there for them. That's it, and you don't need to feel ashamed for that, even though for didn't have in the shape that you might consider feminine. And if you don't have the shape, first love your body and then you can do the change. I don't consider being conformist with my body, or just I love my body. I'm not going wanting to change it in the sense of like I don't want to work out, I don't want to do this. Sometimes you can have low moments of didn't want it to work out because you might have a lot of tasks going on, or didn't want to put yourself out there because you don't want to feel ashamed, or you don't want to feel look at it. But you need to put the effort at least to be okay with yourself and being in tune. And that's what it matters. You are not weaker because sometimes you don't have the power physical, or you don't have the maybe the same physical capacities that that girl had, that man had, and it's okay. And in this prime month, I want to tell you that if you ever would feel like being left for a man, the actual thing is that you need to work on the feeling of being brave, the courage, all the traits that you consider masculine. You need to learn to embrace that as well. Of if you're left for a woman, or for somebody that is female predominantly speaking, you need to work in your softness. And if you work on that, both selves, you need to work in your control, because you won't let those styles affect you. I know that you might hear this quote of like, you don't need to work more, but there is sometimes that everything can be a little bit connected, and you need to allow yourself to be a little bit more real with yourself and being like, I don't tolerate that. Just because you know somebody who is toxic, you don't need to blame yourself being like, I'm attracting again toxic people because it happened. That could teach you many things to be more prepared as well when you take therapy, but it's also when you want reformation for the same person. Because even though that I've been working on this song many days now, I've been just thinking about the songs and just all of these things. And I've been hearing also many songs about women that like women that they're basically saying, pick me over here, like they will say when, or they feel not enough masculine to be with a woman. And I see that about the song of like Good Luck Baby of Chapel Room being like, good luck, and you we gonna stand in the middle of the night, like that. And so those kind of things are just to call the attention that you had to feeling brave again with yourself, to feel again, don't be icky to male energy that you have in you, because everybody have a little bit of strength, a little bit of courage, a little bit of male energy in themselves, basically. So don't feel scared to explore that, to be embracing that energy that you have with yourself. Don't be scared. Let that be on you, explore that, and let it come to yourself. And if you work on that before, learn. Okay, I'm okay now. I'm going to pay more attention to the signs that maybe somebody is not actually healing on that, because it's not always you and you, it's sometimes another person that you pick. Because most of the times, I'm not recalling any type of thing of reaffirming thing just to make you feel better, because I've been through also that, in the sense of so I'm not going to tell you about anything just that, oh my gosh, just because you were treated by a man you are not into women. No, it's not how it works many times. It could have a little bit on that. It could have a little bit on that. We also need to be with logic. So it also is a little advice from my experience, okay? A woman that is scared from men will be with a woman, and that wouldn't affect their sexuality as well. But sometimes where I've been seeing women that were with women and they change their mind, they feel like, yeah, I have enough fun, then I want to be straight again, then I want to get into guys again. It's because they simply want to explore it, which we also need to learn to respect. But from my opinion, from my experience, there has been many type of fears that you can also have linked to men and also linked to women. As a boy as well, I've been seeing many experiences from boys that also were scared of women. But from that, we are going to start basically. So men and people that generally feel scared from other type of gender, feel scared of other things because they pass for many dramatic experiences, many hard experiences with those kind of people. You need to learn something. Just because you met somebody that is part, such as me, just because you met a man that it's really bad, they treat you bad, did you dirty, whatever, it doesn't mean that every man will be like that. The same way that I met men, the same way that I met women. Not at the same frequency, not in the same timeline. Sometimes it was in the same timeline. But I also met good guys and good women. Not at the same timeline, not at the same things. But that also teach me that it's a lot of diversity when it comes to being focused onto the LGBTQ plus community, such as bad traits, such as bad many things. But the main focus is just that doesn't matter if you're into whatever you're into. When you are getting into this process and picking another person, just having a lot of baggage, being like that, whatever, whatever, whatever. There has been a point where you want to ask yourself what happened. If a woman loves you because she is now into men and now she likes men, and before she was like, no, I like women, respect that. What you can do is respect that. And if you met a guy that was into guys and they want to explore and they finally get with them women, respect that as well. I know that it could be harmful for you to hear that, or maybe it could be harmful for you, but you need to learn to accept that. You need to learn to cheer that, love that, support that, because love is love. But the same way you teach, the same way you need to support. For me, it was like that. I genuinely need to learn to support women that I was into being gay with men because they told me they were bi and that ended up being with a guy, but that doesn't make them less bisexual. It makes them being part of the flower community basically, because doesn't matter if the color is like blue or yellow or white, the flower, they will still pick the flower, which make in essence a flower. So in the same way I think about people. But being more open and taking the lead and getting off from fears that you had before to men is not always gonna look the same for everybody, because I had fear to men physically, emotionally, but not like from talking, because I always said that barrier of me being emotional open with a guy, being emotionally open and vulnerable with a guy again and again because of the baggage that I had, and physically as well because I had some baggage before. But the sense that I'm telling you is that being open to that as well gradually. You're not going to wake up one day and being like, I'm getting over my fear to men. That will make you be less productive. That will make you be less a person. That will make you less be that will make you less than others. That will also be making you more brave because you're actually putting effort into showing your emotions. However, it's not on you to follow everything that is a lot of people is telling you. Okay? Because some women that has been in situations where they like men, they like women as well. They are not into men, but they only like the validation for women. As well, if you are into women, don't make a lot of men waste their time just because you want to do something. I feel that whenever that we want to feel validated, we want to feel validated for both sides, either if it's for men or for women. If we have those kind of patterns of not feel validation because we didn't have a male figure. For me, it was my dad mostly, emotionally speaking, and cheerleading speaking, because my father didn't cheer me up as much as I wanted to. Maybe I'm a little bit, but I thought for a second that we don't need to seek a lot of validation from men as well. As a woman who likes women, because if we didn't have that with ourselves, we can still cheer us in a sense. So it's always detangling from the fact that we need validation, that we need validation, that we need validation first from other people and then from ourselves. We need to seek validation from ourselves, and then whatever people that validate us as a person is on them, not in ourselves. And I will tell you an example. Most of the people that like my videos, comment on my things, or are more on to my content were usually men. Okay? So many times, and I feel like that's happened a couple times with women that even though they're noticing the liking pattern that they had, is that they like and they don't like. I don't know what kind of preference, but it's just because of that. I received some comments of hate from other women as a person who likes women, and it's okay sometimes. I've been cheered by other women, which is okay. But sometimes this thing happen. It's not on me. I won't be able to tell you which gender is the best because both of them work in companionship in this society in general to make that a good place. And that's why many cultures want to be the one that is predominantly on top to make the other be off. And that I don't consider is equal. If we talk about being equal, equal is in everything. If we don't call something being predominant, being like, this is predominant, so this I'm going to be I don't consider that as an equal. I consider being equal in a restaurant. I feel like two men that are a couple are the boss of that place. Two people on the corner are a couple that are two girls, and another one person that it's maybe asexual is working on attendance and getting people in the place in this coffee shop, maybe like that. And a straight couple is the clients of that place. In that way, I consider everything is equal, the payment, the things, or whatever. In that sense, I don't consider it being equal, just being like, I'm predominantly this, I'm going to use this. No, using is using. Yeah, if you had my mindset, you might understand me, but don't entertain other people if you don't feel like it. If you don't like that, don't want, I please tell you, don't make other people waste your time. I don't consider it healthy sometimes. You also need to set up like a line on that. And that's it. Be okay with yourself, be at peace, be at ease, and be okay. Because for as long as you want to maybe hide and not wanting to accept it, girls that are into girls also have those patterns. Guys that like guys, or whatever type of people in the community have these things of feeling validated. But seeking first the validation from others of the opposite gender as a woman, by making others feel bad, by making others be not bad, being, it's not okay. It is not okay for the environment, for your mental health. It's not okay because you are getting your mind into being a bad person in a sense of be making others feel bad because you think that you have the reason. And that it can happen many times with some fights that we have, some beliefs that we have, some baggage that we carry, and we want to point that to a group of people that we consider think in a bad way. But the best that we can do when we actually met the bad, bad side of life is just with a sense of like, okay, I see that, I know that, and I'm going to work that kind of life would not be for me. That's how I even though teach my kids whatever was the background of lifestyle, I always teach them to, you can always change your linear. You can always be changing the future, but you can change the past. So in order for you to be, I don't know, treating other people the same way they treat you, you can treat them better. And also learn to respect. I don't consider that Prime Month is like a bad month, but at least be a little bit more covered, you want to be more, especially for kids. I know that you might be thinking, yes, it's a culture, yes, it's whatever. But kids shouldn't be watching some of the things when they're in a public place. I feel like us as adults, we are not going to show them certain type of things. And that is not because I'm too conservative. I want to tell you, maybe be covered like a nun, maybe be walking on the rainbow thing. But if you do that, send me a picture. But I'm just simply saying that you should be respectful of everyone that you met. Or playful, being a little bit more colorful. So that's my point on this. And so, at the end of the day, we are just humans as well. Just to be okay, because I feel you as well. I've been there. I've been in my knees sobbing because I genuinely feel bad. They make me do that. But I'm not going to teach other people to also have hate. People have been telling me this in the hard way. I have other people that tell me in a soft way. But I learned something really beautiful, even though about reading the Bible a little bit, because I want to even get into a little bit deeper. So I learned that generally masculine is the one who smooth you and make you soft. It has the power to calm you down in a way that you might not even though will hope as a feminine. And the feminine have the same power as well for women and for men as well. For all the people that are considered feminine as well. I'm talking about energy, not talking about just the body. And so, in general, don't make you waste all your time as a person who was in both sides of the believing, the ideology, whatever they want to call it. Because I used to call it, I used to call it universe. I used to call it God back in time because of my Bible study, things like that, but I never feel God. And now I call it universe, but I did peace with the word God as well. Like, it doesn't make me have the trigger of what I've been through, such as, you should feel, whatever, you should. I don't. And that's also my message to you. I feel that we need to learn to communicate in order for us to be okay for the type of beliefs. But whenever that we make such as choices or whatever, we need to also be okay with that. I do believe it's still in the universe. I didn't know what I've been pulling my necklace of the universe kind of thing. I mean, I do have this right here, but I'm just going to be more here because I want to also give a little shout out to my shirt that I'm wearing. So that's pretty much what happened. And in order for us to be fighting, we need to have the agility of, like, we don't need to make others feel bad consciously and consciously speaking in order for us to make us feel good. That's all the messages that I've been wanting to bring to you and be more okay to you. And bad moments are everywhere. Even though in the safest environment, there are always bad moments. But maybe it can be in a small level. For me, being alone, it had me a bad moment of time management, maybe for record this podcast episode, but not of noises that it was before because my neighbors were having a party and I couldn't really record nothing. So it happens, but sometimes you need to learn how to get through it and you are stronger. And the more stronger you are, you can also teach you others. Maybe not in the way that you might think is okay, in the sense of like, yeah, I feel you, but to have also compassion. Being naive is a quality that allow you to be and having trust to others. When being overly naive is been letting everybody take advantage of you. But you need to identify the patterns. Okay? That's all the message that I have to tell you and bring into you. It's okay in this Pride Month to also be peace with whatever thing that you maybe were thought of or even though we're used to. And it's okay for you to do that peace gradually. Anyway, Monkyvers, with that, I'm telling you that in general, you need to do peace, you need to learn to be okay. And neither it came out at this time, at this moment, right now, maybe online, maybe with your family because you don't feel safe enough. It's okay also for you to still then coming out, but there will be the time where you need to come out or not, because sometimes people that depend on others, how these hard times, and they're like, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that, but you need to learn to go and move to your face, or like to, as long as you want to, you can do that, okay? You don't need to feel pushed, you don't need to meet time. Your timeline will come, maybe it will happen, but it's okay also. So the first step is to do peace, because it will bring you times where, because a lot of people that we live in are mostly Christian, it will bring you a sense of peace, in a sense of like being, I know what these people think, what they believe, and I'm okay. Like, I don't have a lot of ickiness being like, whatever people they want to convert me, they want to say. We are not in the 2000s. We are not in 1000 like year being like, I feel like we grew up as a society for something. We entangle the fact of being married because we will, we entangle that way longer, that we now can do finally peace. So anyway, have a good day and take care. I know maybe you can be tired of hearing this, but please follow me on Spotify so my mom finally believes this music career thing is real. Okay, thank you.